Over the course of 5 weeks, our group decided to present our museum, which was both respectful and meaningful to the events that happened during the Nanjing Massacre. We incorporated 4 subjects: science, history, English, and art to create a new idea of what the Nanjing Memorial should include. They say to forgive but not to forget, as they don't want to ever forget the 300,000 Chinese soldiers and civilians that were killed during this event. But 300,000 to us is just a number, as what really mattered was the action done towards Chinese. We decided to be impartial rather than neutral and would only judge the actions rather than the people. However, people argued for the idea of survival of the fittest, the belief that when people are better than others, they can have the right to act towards their desire. Nevertheless, we believe that the actions could not be justified nor explained because it violates human dignity. Dignity is the universal moral code that we should drive every action. We discovered the triangular theory of life, which included the 3 stages: survival, desire, and dignity. Survival is the foundational necessities that ensure the continuity of human being. Desire is the dreams and goals of each human being. Dignity is the moral and rightful way to achieve survival and desire. We believe that nirvana stage of human being would be the absolute balance for those 3 categories, in which is represented by an equilateral triangle in our design. For that the triangle is the most stable construction shape and that it represents the absolute balance discussed above. Therefore, triangles is the design motif that runs throughout our museum.
As history has shown, prior to the raid of Nanjing, Japanese first invaded China for the sake of self-protection. Due to Great Depression, oil embargo, and population growth, Japan, which was at the time a fast-growing economy, faced the threat of survival as a nation. Understanding that the United States was too strong of an enemy to fight against, Japan turned their barrel towards a deteriorating and unstable China. However, this original intention of self-protection was soon eclipsed by the desire of Japanese military troops. Might it be for power or a sense of enjoyment, Japanese outstretched their battle line towards Shanghai and eventually Nanjing. Due to various desires of the Japanese troops, unforgettable atrocities were carried out in the period of 3 weeks. For the purpose of survival and desire, Japanese left a scar that will always be remembered in the city of Nanjing. As my colleague Nick has mentioned, dignity is a single and only universally moral way to act. While Japanese was chasing for survival and desire, they violated dignity. As Thomas Hobbes and John Locke stated, it is morally correct for individuals to work towards their survival and desire, but that's only if that does not violate the survival and desire of others. Such condition could be categorized under individual's dignity, in which every single human being has, according to the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, Clause 1. Therefore, we as a group found the idea of the triangular theory of life. The 3 most important aspects were survival, desire, and dignity. Without any single of such aspect, one could not be deemed human. Through actions performed by the Japanese, it could be seen that Japanese maximized their beliefs in survival and desire, while doing so with little dignity. While seeing that there are 3 aspects in our theory, and number 3 runs throughout the entire Nanjing Massacre, such as the 300,000 deaths, and 3 weeks, we have decided to use 3 as our basic principle. We believe that the ultimate goal of human's life is the balance of the 3 aspects. Using the knowledge of geometry, one side of the triangle directly correlates with the other 2 sides of the triangle. As the ultimate goal is the balance of the aspects, our literal design motif is an equilateral triangle. However, seeing that what Japanese has performed was nothing close to balance, our building has 2 sides outstretching the 3rd side, representing how Japanese value survival and desire more than dignity.
2015, the United Nations Climate Change Conference, also known as the COP21, was carried out in Paris on December 12, 2015, with the aim of reducing climate change. Joined by 196 parties, it is considered as the most important environmental conference in the 21st century. The Paris Agreement agreed to reduce their carbon output as soon as possible and to do their best to keep global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius, compared to the average pre-industrial times. In order to decrease the effect of climate change, it is important to decrease energy loss. In museums, just like any other buildings, the most significant energy loss is the loss of thermal energy. To prevent such from happening, the building materials are required to have high thermal resistance, or as we call high R value. There are 3 main ways of thermal transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation. Conduction is a transfer of heat through colliding particles in solid. Convection is the transfer of thermal energy through fluids using the principle that hot fluids flow higher. Radiation is the emission of photons such as sunlight. To maximize to receive thermal energy through radiation, glass windows are solar panels, which were used in the museum. However, we do understand that glass has a low R value. Nevertheless, the importance of natural light is crucial in the museum. The glass will be triple pane glass that minimizes energy loss. There is a hollow space which bridges the two floors of the interior, separating both sides. This hollow area would allow hot air to rise, providing thermal energy for the second floor of the museum. This will lessen the usage of electricity. In general, this museum does not only have appealing looks, but also follows the COP21 standards that calls for a better environment.
As we stated earlier, our idea is based on the triangle. This is why triangles are present in our building design as our design motif. Our building is shaped as a triangle with a somewhat staircase form in the middle of it, with another triangle underneath it. This gives much more space in the museum, allowing us to distribute the information throughout a greater space. We believe the three most important aspects to think about as we ponder the idea of the Nanjing Massacre are dignity, desire, and survival. During the massacre, desire and survival were valued more than dignity. This can be seen as the main building. The stretched sides of the triangle represent survival and desire, meanwhile the shortest sides represent dignity. All the triangles on the building have two sides which are stretched out and one side which is shortened to represent the lack of dignity that was included throughout the massacre. As you go through the museum, you are delivered the story of the rape of Nanjing. And as you walk to the second and third floor, it delivers the idea of dignity and the broad philosophies related to dignity. Finally, as you leave the museum, the exit is shaped as an equilateral triangle, the goal everyone is trying to achieve. The equilateral triangle represents an equal balance between the values of survival, dignity, and desire. Additionally, both the inside and the outside contain the idea of a triangle, allowing it to flow easier as it is a part of the same design family. As you navigate through the museum, it is obvious that it is quite spacious and it may feel like there's a lot of excess room and not a lot of information. We did this because we believe that the original museum incorporates an excess amount of information, much of it being unnecessary. We decided to include the base information about what happened during the massacre and no extra information. We have a lot of space between displays so the viewers don't feel like they are being slammed with information but rather given time to process it. The landscaping contains a lot of nature, such as water and flowers. We included this so we could have a sense of peace and a more relaxing environment. Also, the water is somewhat like a mirror, reflecting your image when you look down at it. This can make you think of yourself and the hardships or good times that you have gone through. The water is also still, demonstrating that anything can cause a change in your life, as a rock will ripple and change the original state of the water. The water is surrounding the building to make it a sacred area. As you cross the bridge, you feel as though you've entered a special area which is separated from the rest of the world. The white flowers demonstrate purity and innocence, as we are not blaming anyone for what happened, we are just looking upon their actions and forgiving them. Lastly, there are no stairs, only ramps, so it's easier for people in wheelchairs to get around.
Not only do we want to commemorate the Nanjing Massacre, we want our audience to leave with an understanding of dignity and how it was incorporated into our museum. Thank you.